Welcome back to the Pre-Vetted podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Today we are joined by Shiva Kumar. He's a co-founder and CTO of Denlulu. Denlulu is a groundbreaking health tech company that's redefining dental care through telehealth and AI-driven solutions. He has more than 2 decades of experience in software development, SaaS, and global team building. Shiva Kumar has led scalable platforms, spoken at the UN on AI for development, and driven partnerships that are shaping the future of digital healthcare. Shiva, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Pleasure is mine, Federico. Thank you for that was a good introduction. Hopefully, I can contribute to your good cause.
Great, great. I'm happy. I'm happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit about Denlulu. What are you building?
Sure. Dentulu is a very specific to its dentistry, and it's largely to tell in a very simple term, it's an ecosystem. So dentistry is very fragmented, and providers and dental offices they get drained out due to this fragmentations. Even patients, so patients also include in that. So me and my co-founder and CEO, Dr. Raj Hakamian, we kind of like came up with the idea of what about why don't we bring them all together into one ecosystem? So he's like a third generation dentist. His family is entirely dentist. I'm very thankful to have him as a partner, and he is my mentor in dentistry because I had zero knowledge about dentistry, but he kind of like mentored me to understand dentistry. And in the last 7 years, I really understood like how dentistry works, and building the solution that for that specific vertical was a real challenge. And in every place he helped me navigate, and I did contribute to. I did my best to help him with his vision, with our combined vision, and we have Dental today, which is like a ecosystem bringing providers, patients, dental offices, dental supply companies, anything you talk about dentistry is in the platform as connected one ecosystem.
Wow, very interesting. The We get used to as software engineers. I'm a software engineer as well, so I'm relating to that. That we get used to moving zeros to one and things like that, right? Everything is so behind the screen. So,
Yeah,
but then there are industries that require physical things, right? And then
correct.
dentistry is one of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So in dentistry, when we started, everybody asked us like how dentistry is all about pulling your teeth. Like, you have to do it from your office. What is there to do it from virtually? So that's the barrier we broke, and we have brought a lot of these services. We showed that a lot of these services, dental services, can be done from virtually, like post-op checks or doing a sleep apnea case study or sleep apnea treatment, salivary diagnostics. So salivary diagnostics is one of the key things because it is directly related to systemic health. So we kind of like brought the standard. So we have setting a standard on why salivary testing is required in every other office, and like why every other patient would need it. So we did our part in bringing them all together and into one ecosystem.
Interesting.
And the major part was like the technology, how we actually enabled. So as you said, like, working from the back when nobody sees that. Even my co-founder jokingly says, he does all the job and I get the credit. so so I basically, that's the kind of teamwork we did. We tiringly on building the solution design. We had an excellent team behind us, and I personally worked on a lot of these solutions, talking to these dentists. Dentists are very, very, very meticulous. Their business is within millimeters. So that's how they see it. So they're very attentive to details, and then any one small mistake would be, very expensive. So that's the kind of attention they had us to put into the software. So that's where my learning process also like went from 0 to 100 is what I should say. The dentistry is between millimeters. So building a software within the millimeters, think about it. How much? difficulties we would have faced and how much challenges we have done, we have navigated through. And this is where we are. Dentulu is like, we are at the top.
Right, right. As a software engineer, I work on multiple startups, big corporations, and things like that. And mostly in startups, you learn these move fast, break things, right? But then I work on HIPAA compliant projects, and then I realize, well, that doesn't apply, right? Because
Yeah.
if you make a mistake on the software, there's a patient on the other side, right, that is going to get affected, right?
Yeah. SOC 2 compliance, HIPAA compliance,
Right.
everything comes into play. We used to make jokes in the second year or third year. We used to make 2 weeks projects. We used to call, people used to say, what is the 2 weeks? We say like 2 weeks to the future, but nothing happens in 2 weeks. And we used to jokingly say, which is that next feature coming up in 2 weeks to break? So we realized, no, that's not how things work. It needs its actual time to put the attention, the care behind it, and make sure it keeps the patient record safe, the patient feels safe, the providers feel safe to use it. So we had to go through a lot of testing and development. I don't have to really explain all the development, but you understand what I mean.
Yes, the actual testing and the publication takes longer than the actual coding, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And it's something as a software engineer, I usually didn't take that into account, right?
Right.
Because when you're in a big team, right, you're a little clog in the big machine, right?
Right.
For me, then was like, well, it's working on staging server, right? After that, I don't know, right? So
Seven words.
yeah, when you work on startups and you own the whole workflow, then you start
Yeah.
learning about all those other steps, right?
Correct. Correct. You have to go through, every feature has to be discussed. Every feature has to be meticulously thought through. Who's going to get affected? Who's going to
Right.
get impacted? And who's going to get benefited? What is it? What problem actually it is solving? And then once we code it, then we do a lot of testing. And then the real challenge comes when we start thinking about scenarios. There are even scenarios like, we have seen some jokes, there's like a box with different, I saw a reel where you have like different folds in the box, and then the client picks up a cube and puts it into a circle. The client picks up a triangle and puts it into a circle, right? But actually you see there is a space for that. They don't put inside that. So it looks like it's working, but only when you actually give it to someone in real time, then you start understanding. You might have worked like 30 different scenarios, but once you give it to someone, they will come up with another 30 different scenarios to fix the software. So it is a lot of data and a lot of testing, giving it to the putting in the real world and having them try it, practice it. Because dental businesses, they don't want to, any business for that sake, they don't have time. They're very busy. Getting a dental appointment is very difficult in the US. So making them understand like what important role it plays in their business and having them adapt to this ecosystem they have to train and they have to understand, okay, how soon it could be done. So we have to make them understand, we have to get them adapted to the system, get their confidence, and then they start using the system. So that is a real challenge. So we always have that challenge. Even I mean, like, I think we will continue to have that because businesses always see that the business doesn't stops because they introduced a new system. So that challenge is going to be there, but it's all how you actually solve this problem, how quickly how you solve it through the process. And obviously, we have developed such process where we solve these problems in real time.
Right. So, telehealth has been, more prominent since COVID, right? Since the pandemic. How did you guys implement the telehealth on the dental industry?
Yeah, that was a great challenge because see, Dentulu started as a mobile dentistry company. So we were going to patients' homes. We were doing, in LA, we were going to patients' homes. We were doing it in the Bay Area, and we were trying it in few places to see how it gets from there. But as soon as COVID hit, everything kind of like really changed. The mobile dentistry um, did not actually see its, what I would say is like its raise, rather than the telehealth started to see its raise. That's where when we completely changed our software, we raised about like 3.5 to $4 million in funding. And apart from, me and my co-founder having invested several $1 million in, into the company, plus our sweat equity. So we kind of, that's where we actually kicked in into completely changing our software into a telehealth platform. And since I said in the earlier, like, the industry is so fragmented. So we started identifying what are those services which can be done from remote locations. Let's say we call it as like, a post-op checks. So if a patient is getting like a implant or they get a root canal, and they may have to come back into the office, and you know how much time it takes to get an appointment, come back for the visit. The patient has to take time, they have to take time after work, come and meet the doctor. So we have a device called MouthCam. So it's something like this. So we give this is like an educational device, and then doctors can actually send this camera. It's like $50. They can send this with the patient, and then the patients can actually take pictures. As soon as they take pictures, it goes into the patient's chart, and then doctor can review it and tell the patient that you don't have to come in or you have to come in. So this is one of the solutions how we made it easy for the providers to do post-operative checkups. So and then from there we kept evolving into different solutions like salivary diagnostics. We saw that the salivary diagnostics can be used for which is connected to systemic health like diabetes, stroke, heart attack, cancer, and so there are so many different diseases connected to this. Everything starts from your mouth. So we identified that. We worked with one of the nation's large lab, Oral DNA, and we partnered with them. Now we recently partnered with Biome also for cancer detect. So we guys kind of brought this all together into our system. And then we also see the doctors were having difficulty connecting with their patients, communicating with their patients. And they also wanted an app for their offices. So we brought all these together into one single platform. We started breeding very, very massively. We were about like 120 people working day and night on code and testing and building and releasing features. So yeah, that's how we came into play.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point where the technology for scanning is much cheaper, so it's better to just give it to the patient and then avoiding the time and travel, for the diagnostics. I used to remember the braces that they required adjustments very often,
Right.
and now they are out adjusted, so they can set it up
Yeah.
and it's more automatic, right?
Yeah.
So for the follow-ups, I can see how this type of application would be beneficial.
Right. 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 And today, like, there are like clear aligners. So you can just take an impression from home, send the impression back to us. We can make the trace, send it back to the patient. Then they just have a tray for 12 months and then they wear it, just like how Smile Direct did. So we do partials. So let's say if one of your teeth is missing, we can make like a prosthetics for your single teeth alone. So there is a process for that. So we work at least like 5 labs, 5 huge labs in the US where we're doing
Right.
this. So they can simply send their impressions. We pass it on to the doctor. The doctor has to verify whether the patient is eligible to take that. They go through their conditions, oral health. They ask for their health history, and then finally they sign off the case. And then we get that device designed and then send it to the patient. So that's one of it.
Right. Interesting that you can do that all remotely now.
Yeah, yeah. And that's right. Like dentistry is very fragmented, but there are a lot of services which can be done remotely. That's what actually is happening now. And the
Right.
one of the main things I haven't really spoken about is sleep apnea. How many people? There's about like 74 million people affected in the US every year, and that's a huge area. Like they put CPAP machines, and that kind of that's like large machines, and you have to sleep all night, and it's very comfortable. But we are the first company who designed the whole software, which actually automates this flow. It helps our doctors, it helps our lab, it helps our patients. everybody to use our platform to do this process. It has to be done in the dental office, but our software can be used to do everything virtually. So sleep apnea, they have, and it was also covered by insurance. We design the device and send to the patient, and then everything happens virtual. And insurance pay somewhere from $4,000 to $6,000 for this device. So that's one of the major offerings we are doing.
The CPAP.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So CPAP device it is being like they don't have to use CPAP device. It's like a tray, two trays they put into their mouths. It's like we call it as like what do you call it, mandibular device. And this device is designed by the dentist based on their impressions, and then patient has to just wear it in their mouth. They put it in their mouth just like your aligner, and you bite it, and that's it. It just brings your jaw a little forward like this, and then that's it. You will get a full night of peaceful sleep.
Interesting. I didn't know that there was a relationship between the teeth uh, and the apnea.
Yes, there's a huge. Dentists can do that. Basically, at first, it has to be identified by a physician, but they are referred to a dentist to go through this process.
Right. So a lot of entrepreneurs talk about finding a technical co-founder, right? And from what you're describing with your co-founder, you are the technical co-founder, and your co-founder is the domain expert, right?
Exactly.
Which I think is a great dynamic, because together you can build something amazing, right?
Exactly.
And with a fresh perspective, because as a software engineer, we can think a solution, an innovative solution that otherwise, somebody in the industry would not have thought about, right?
Right.
So how that that relationship happened? How were you two able to connect and co-found this company together?
Yeah. So me and Dr. Rush were friends for several years, and we in two different industry verticals, and so I would say, like, identifying a tech co-founder is definitely a challenge, because everybody says I'm a tech expert. Everybody says so. Someone who actually understand technology and also understand business, how to grow a business, how to actually an entrepreneur basically, who understands how to build a business, who has gone through the nuances of building a business, who understand, the financial side. Business is not just like, making money. It's also how you control the money, how you actually spend the money. So identifying like a tech co-founder would be like, you have to identify whether they've already done a business, or they have, a good understanding of the business. So those are some of the things. Just not about code. It's just not about, writing some code and then coming up with a solution. What the doctors want. You have to really understand why this is the problem for the doctor and what they are trying to solve and how they are trying to solve. And then the technical co-founder should be able to understand that, and then also build the product according. They have to be a solutions architect. They have to be like a coder. They have to be like a businessman. They have to be like a doctor. They have to think all those things. So you have to identify someone like that. I'm sure it's like, you never get a perfect person, but at least, 60 to 70%. It's just like it's a marriage between two people. That's what I would say. When you find your co-founders, it's a marriage. So you will never find a perfect co-founder, but yeah, you can find 60 to 70% a co-founder, and then you work through that to get to that 100%. Finding a technical co-founder is just like a marriage, finding someone for your marriage. So you have to date, you have to understand, you have to see how it works, and then, yeah, it works. So that's the challenge everybody has to go through.
Right, right. That was kind of the other questions I was going to ask you. What advice would you give for somebody that is looking for a technical co-founder? You kind
Yeah.
of answered the question, but if you want to expand on that, that would be great.
it's a marriage, it's a marriage. You have to date, you have to understand each other, and then you have to work through that, because there could be a lot of egos, there could be a lot of good and bad, there could be um, you know um, one person says, I know the industry, I know the domain, I'm the domain expert, but the other person may be knowing what they are doing. So it's a marriage. So you have to really work through it. And if you're willing to work through it, yeah, definitely it'll pull through. It'll pull off. That's what I would say. You guys can actually make it work. So I would say you need a lot of patience when you're trying to build a company with a co-founder or a partner. And if you think it's the right person, you should stay patient, stay focused, work together, no matter what. Don't leave each other's side, and build your vision together.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think you brought an interesting point when you were talking about that the technical co-founder is more than a software developer. It has all the technical responsibilities of a software architect. A is also in charge of understanding what features will make sense to build or not based on the requirements. Right. There's so much more into that, and you also bring another interesting point of that also has to have experience running a business, because we if we do something wrong with using any AWS service or whatever, then the cost could go up, and the economic unit, yeah, and then the economic unit breaks, right?
The technical co-founder also has to work. You know, the, they have to be very, very smart in trade-offs, because when you have investors, when you have board members, they always want the solutions to go fast into the market. And because it's business, you have to get the solutions into people's hands as quickly as possible. So you also have to
Right.
trade off. You have to learn to trade off, how you actually trade off in achieving the results. So I would say I've done that. I'm not sure if I've done that, accepting and satisfying my ego, but I have no choices. Sometimes I have to make trade offs and get things done on time and achieve what the business needs. So for that, you need to have some kind of a business understanding, is what I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a similar situation when I'm building in new projects, because my technical heart, it's on Ruby on Rails. I love Ruby on Rails. But then when I'm reading requirements of new projects, I have to be very careful of not being biased, right? And making sure that I'm finding the right language framework tool for that specific, problem, challenge.
Yeah.
And eventually I ended up working with other frameworks because that's what the project requires.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So,
And there are many trade-offs in any project: resources, time.
yeah, everything comes together, you without trade-offs. I mean, like, end of the day, you also have to know you have the AWS cost and any other cloud systems you use, the cost will go up spontaneously. You have to make sure you also take care of those costs and you don't compromise on the quality. At the same time, you also don't burn the money, because investors, you have a fiduciary responsibility of managing investors' money, and it's just not does not lies on just one co-founder. It just lies on every other person in the team. So it is always important that you learn to trade off the right. I wouldn't I wouldn't say it's a right way. I would say it's like you have to learn how to trade off and make sure end of the day you obtain the results.
Right. I mentioned before that you also build and scale global engineering teams. What strategies have worked best for maintaining quality and culture across global teams?
Yeah, working with different cultures is always a challenge. And I think I have worked with developers in the Ukraine. I have worked with developers from Argentina, India, Pakistan, and yeah. So these are some of the places in Philippines. Now, every country I said has a different working culture. I have worked with developers in the US. Everybody has different working culture, but end of the day, bringing them together. So you have to give them like the combined vision. What would be the vision of the company and what you guys are doing? So language barrier was there, but we used a lot of different, process management tools like Jira and tasking tools. We had business associate to lay out what are the different features, and these associates actually work with the product owners, and then these product owners work with the stakeholders, and finally we actually make sure everything is like passed on to the entire group evenly. So working with global teams, this would be a process I believe everybody would be following in standard, but you have to hire the right companies. That's another challenge, identifying the right company or the right resource, their experience, doing a technical evaluation of what they're actually talking about. So these are kind of some of the things you have to keep in mind, and just don't go by just saying like I know this, I know that, but evaluate, and see if they can actually do what they're talking about. Most of the time in software projects, we hear is like project is not getting delivered in time, the feature is not getting delivered in time. So those things could happen in global teams massively if you don't communicate across the teams, or you don't identify the right team with the right experience. So when you select teams, you also have to keep in mind that if they have worked in the specific vertical you have, let's say if it's healthcare, health tech, telehealth, you need to identify teams who have already worked in that space. So that makes the communication easier, understanding of the product easier. So these are some of the things you need to keep in mind.
Right. Right. And how are you able to choose between different? You mentioned multiple countries. I'm from Argentina, by the way, so I'm glad to hear that you hire engineers from Argentina. How do you do the screening, the selection, and the scaling of those global teams?
So we had HR teams and technical teams to do that. Um, so
Right.
I personally look at some of the resumes because I work with HR teams with pretty closely. So they share me all the. I get the specifics. Okay, this is the kind of, we need like 5 people to achieve this target. Now these 5 people, 3 people will be of a certain level of experience, 2 people will be of certain level of experience, and we give them the requirement, and then they go to companies like TopTel, or there are multiple options. TopTel is basically where we work with resources directly. So that's how I got into Argentina. There is no like companies we outsource it to. We work directly with developers from through this platform. So they help us shortlist these resources, and also we do internal shortlisting based on their skills, and we identify if they would actually fit into our requirement and scaling, and then we bring them in.
Right. How do you work with the team on different time zones? Because usually that's
Yeah, that's a huge issue. So I mean, like that's a huge issue, but still, since we have product owners, we also had to have project managers work in different time zones. So since we had the process very clearly laid out from the stakeholders to the product owners to the project managers to the end developer or the architect, so we had a process on dealing with from start to finish. So the project managers report to us before we start our day, and before, I mean, like when we start our day, they report to us, and then we tell them what is to be done. We review them with them together, and then there was a lot of challenges in the time zone, but we used to have one common connecting time when all the team can connect. So we used to all the different time zones would meet at least at one point where we all get together, and then we have a lot of stand-up discussions on what's going on and distributing across the team. So that's how we managed it.
right. Right. Yeah, the time zone usually is an issue, but I think you nailed it at the beginning when you were talking about communication, because if you have clear communication, then everything else becomes secondary, right?
Exactly.
It can be solved, right? Yeah. And then one thing that worked for me pretty well when I've been working with different remote teams is to make, instead of a avatar, you're sending an email to the product owner. It's an email. It's a photo on the screen, right? So building that personal relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because then with that, it's not only an avatar, it becomes, the guy that, he beat me at mini golf or whatever, right? Whatever that may be, right? But it becomes much a closer relationship, and that help us to, have a better communication, or being able to be proactively communicating on both sides, right?
Oh.
So yeah, humanizing the
Yes,
person on
we
the
call
other
it
side, right?
humanizing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That connectivity is required. That connection is required.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
before COVID, I used to do that in person, but then during the pandemic, we stopped the trips, right?
Yeah. We just
And that
had
became more challenging.
right, we
Yes,
just had
yes.
face to face. We had Zoom. We had Google Meets and seeing on the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we start doing these online games, every once in a while, where we would just, it's kind of hanging out, but having an online game where everybody has to paint something or whatever, and, or draw something, on web applications, that websites that allows you to do those type of games. And that was a great way to build a team together, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, awesome.
Fantastic.
So, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about, you talk a little bit about that you guys are using AI. Can you tell us a little bit more on how you're implementing AI?
Interesting. Yep. That's the interesting part. Everybody is like, I mean, like, we have already implemented like quite a bit of solutions in AI. Like, um, we have, uh, we have built and installed chat agents, which basically help in answering any questions, any dentistry related questions can be asked to the agent. And it responds with a specific set of answers. Anything else you ask, it won't say anything else. It is very specific designed to dentistry. We made voice to voice notes, so doctors can actually record their notes. It converts into a summary, and then gets converted in soap notes and puts into the patient chart. So these are some of the solutions we have built, and then we're also coming up with ecosystem where you can, let's say, we can't build every other AI software. So people can actually bring their software connected into our ecosystem through, we act as a middleware to communicate with our platform. So now it is changing into an app marketplace for dentistry. So that we are building that out. We already built it, but I think we are going to launch it soon, and people can actually start integrating with us, and then those apps can be available on our platform.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
So users are the dentist and the patients, right? You have both on the system.
Yes, correct.
And who is your target customer? Who are you
Mhm.
billing?
Mhm. So we are basically having, like, we have two different sections. Like, one is like the B2B and B2C.
Right.
So B2C is where we have our patients, and we have a lot of B2C solutions available. Most of the solutions I told you were B2C.
Oh,
But there is
nice.
also like a huge area B2B, which I said a very little thing about it. We have a very huge software behind it. We automate their workflows in various different ways. So there are two different parts to Dentulu. It's called Dentulu and Dentulu Pro. And we service both our providers, dental offices, DSOs, and the other side, we service patients. So it's separated into two different sections.
Oh, I see. So yeah, because I can see two different scenarios for the healthcare patients and the dentist, managing their practice through the application.
Right, right, exactly.
Mm,
So both the solutions are available on our platform.
right,
Yeah,
right. Interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Because the other question I was going to ask, and that this is kind of you already answered, I think, is if the general public can sign up to Denlulu, right, and get the
right.
benefits as patients, right? And if you already have built a B2C, then I believe the answer is yes, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, correct.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, what other biggest challenge you had while building the application?
not one, several. We had several challenges, several, I would say several. Maybe I can give you one example is building out, let's say, we do case approvals. We call it as case approvals. Now, doctors are so used to templates. They pick templates, they write the notes, and then ready-made, it comes up ready-made, and then it goes into the patient's chart. So building that templating system for doctors ground up was a challenge for us. That is one example. The other example would be the device I showed you, the MouthCam device. So this device too was very challenging because we had three versions of it. We have SDK locked, and then it's a Wi-Fi powered camera. So if you connect to this, someone's phone cannot disconnect, right? Because everybody's on internet. So this was one of the major challenges we faced. If you have a chance, hopefully I can show you. But connecting that to the device and then in real time taking pictures, sending it to the doctors, we designed a whole workflow, like 6, 7 steps on how to take pictures. It actually fits in your mouth, and then sending. So this was like that was a massive challenge we had. We pulled it together. And the third example I would say is like I get this question all the time, like, how did you even bring everything together in one single ecosystem? So bringing together everything into one single system was a very challenging thing we did, and we ran a lot of microservices. We did not wanted to build it as a monolith software, but we built it as a, microservice based services. And now all our AI agents are also microservices. We are adding that into the legacy system and making sure the legacy system is not put to rest. So
Oh,
those were
interesting.
like just some challenges, but we had real world challenges, dealing with doctors, their requirements, their comments, their feedbacks, their frustrations, their anger. So I can keep adding. Yeah.
I think that, and I say this with love with all doctors, but most doctors that I work with as users, they are the hard users to work with.
Very tough, very tough. But
Yeah, yeah,
once
yeah.
you actually pull up working with doctors and dentists, I don't think any other field is so tough or would be it would be looking any tough. You can pull up in any vertically once you start working with doctors and you build something out.
Right, right. And I sympathize with them. I mean, I understand where they're coming from because
Right.
they're used to do things in one particular way that has the
Yeah.
industry has been for many years, and every change could potentially lead to issues on issues with the patient. So they're very defensive to any change, right? They don't want to make
Right.
changes
Exactly.
because for them represent a liability, right? So I I understand where they're coming from, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, we want to innovate and make things better and different, right? And that requires change, right? So
Correct.
having
Yeah.
having to work that balance can be quite challenging.
Exactly.
Interesting. I mentioned at the beginning that you spoken at the UN about AI for development, right?
Right. Right.
I think that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that story?
Yeah, sure. So IFOD AI Forum for the Global South was one of the most interesting opportunity I got because they went about like 5 to 6 rounds before. It was not like a paid thing, or it is not something like a fancy thing, but they actually identified a lot of different people, interviewed them, spoke with them, we went through like 5 to 6 different meetings to understand, so they really picked from 800 different participants and then who applied as speakers. So out of that, within that, we had about like 70 to 80 speakers getting selected for speaking in different topics. So I was made to speak in, infrastructure and especially on infrastructure. So that was very interesting topic for me because obviously building an AI infrastructure and would you work on the infrastructure or would you work on building a solution first, put it into the market, then you build the infrastructure. So I was part of the speaker team, and then um, I was able to get a lot of insights. I delivered a lot of insights about how what is the first things you need to focus. Though infrastructure is also very important because global south cannot afford to have, invest in huge infrastructures like the Western countries would do. So we can I gave examples of like SLMs, small language models, how that can be run on small devices which doesn't require a huge infrastructure, but still produce the same quality of these large language models. So so these are some of the things I presented, and it was very yeah, opportunity I got, and then the leverage it actually gave me in the global south, the connections. I'm also again invited in Bangkok. It's happening in February 2026. So they have invited me to be the speaker in Bangkok as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I heard great things about Bangkok. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Bangkok is a great place to be.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to, younger entrepreneurs that are looking to get into either they're starting their entrepreneurial journey, they're thinking on getting into healthcare? What advice would you give them?
I think I will also give the same kind of answers a lot of these entrepreneurs have already said, but hopefully I can say something different from my experience. Always focus on for what you're building. Don't build because you like it or someone told like, okay, this would be good. Build which is actually solving a real problem. It could be a small problem, it could be a large problem, but identify the problem, build it towards it, work towards it, and then that would actually take you to the right path. And then if you are a new entrepreneur, I'm telling you, entrepreneur journey is not easy. It's like, I think there's a saying that you jump off a cliff without wings and then you grow your wings while falling down. That's entrepreneurship. So if you are ready to take that challenge, yeah, you just have to jump. You have to jump. But for jumping, you need a lot of patience. You need a lot of struggles to go through. But I'm not scaring the new age new entrepreneurs, but that's a reality. Entrepreneur journey is very tough. It's a lifestyle. I would say it's a lifestyle. It's not like a 9 to 5 job. It's there is no time. You don't have a different time. Defined time you work. There is no defined holidays. There is no defined nothing.
Right.
You have to
It's,
work.
pu- it's pure grit and sheer commitment.
It's commitment. It's sheer commitment to what you're doing and keep building. So, but
Right.
there's also sayings like you have to work. Um, you have to work for few years, for several years, so that the rest of your life you don't have to work. That's what entrepreneurship is. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing advice. Yeah. So we're almost running out of time, but do you want to do some final remarks? What's next for Denlulu? What's next for you? What are you planning to do in the
Yeah.
future?
So Denlulu, we are going big. We are massively. We have signed some huge contracts, and we have gone into the next phase of our business. Our revenue is increasing, and we are growing fast in the states. And we are also planning to go global. We are discussing going into uh, Arab markets, Australian markets. Europe, and India. So we're working on all these. So 2026 is going to be very interesting and challenging. So that's on the Dentulu. And me personally, yes, I'm still focused, committed, same entrepreneur, working with Dentulu and working for Dentulu and trying to make a combined vision become successful. I have a great, excellent partner, excellent co-founder with me who you will not find a doctor who works like him. A doctor, is doctors being 15 years in being a doctor, getting to the level of sitting and working from morning to night and no Sundays, no weekends. Like come on, you can finding doctors like them is very difficult, and is so I'm very lucky and thankful to have him as my partner, and we guys have pulled this together. So that's where
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm very happy for you to have found such an amazing co-founder and that you're
yeah.
working so great together. And I'm looking forward to see where you both take Denlulu next. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
So thank you very much, Shiva, for being here today. We learned a lot, and I follow your journey along. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to contribute to your podcast, and I wish you good luck. And hopefully, the the information I shared is useful for your viewers. And we look forward to stay in touch with you.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you, Shiva.
Thank you.